What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me right here at my YouTube channel. This is where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, and TV shows. And right now, I'd like to give you guys my thoughts on the series as a whole, The Mighty Ducks Game Changers on Disney+. Now, I've reviewed, I think, the first 5 or 6 episodes. I kind of gave individual reviews to, and then I just kind of stopped doing it because they just kind of all... I felt myself kind of saying the same thing over and over again. And here in this series review, I'm going to say the same thing over and over again. But I started this, so I feel like I should at least finish this. So I just want to say that the Mighty Ducks Game Changers, I was really excited about it. The first Mighty Ducks movie was a staple of my childhood. The second one, I watched a few times. The third one, I think I've only seen once or twice in my whole life. But the first one was just, it was near and dear to my heart. It was special to me. And so I was excited about the Mighty Ducks coming back as a TV show, and you know, what we got was okay. It wasn't great. What we got was just okay, and sometimes that's okay also. The kids ended up being very one-dimensional. Like, each one was kind of this stereotypical kid, and each kid was never really able to break out of the box that the writers had put him in. You had the crazy kid, you had the nerdy girl, you had the athletic girl, you had the kind of everyday kid that we're kind of seeing the show through his eyes. You know, each one was kind of put in this box, and that's where they stayed through the entirety of the show, was in their box. And that was a little disappointed, you know, with 10 episodes, each episode around 30 minutes long. I'd have liked to have seen a little bit more complexity from our lead characters. I'd like to have seen the kids have a bit more of an arc. But at the end of the day, they just kind of ended up being 1980s sports kids. And maybe that was the point, but I feel like movie-going audiences and streaming audiences are a little bit more savvy today, and they want to see a little bit more complicated characters and some characters with a little more layers to them. And honestly, I've got the same complaint from the adult characters. None of the adult characters were particularly interesting or even likable. All the parents from these hockey kids, they were all very one-dimensional. You know, win at all costs. You're going to get a college scholarship at age 10. I mean, come on. I mean, this is like, it feels to me like this was written by a Hollywood writer who's never had a kid in sports, and this is how he thinks kids' sports are, but not really, because that's not how they are at all. When I'm watching it, I'm like, this is definitely an out-of-touch Hollywood writer who has no idea what real life is like. That's what's happening here. And I believe that 100%, because, again, this is not what sports are like. I'm a coach. This is not what sports are like. So I don't know. It takes me out of it when I see such an unrealistic approach to kids' sports, but whatever. You know, and I do have parents sometimes come to me and say, hey, what does my kid need to do to get a scholarship in track? Or what does my kid need to do to get a scholarship in cross country? And my answer is always the same. If your kid needs a scholarship to go to school, quit sports and hit the books. That's always my answer. And I've been coaching for 14 years. 14 years, oh my gosh, I'm old. I've been coaching for 14 years, and it's always the answer. If they need a scholarship, if you're depending on a scholarship to send your kid to school, quit sports and hit the books now. And that's good advice to anybody who's listening. It is. If you need a scholarship, if you need it, if you're depending on it, quit sports and hit the books. Get the grade. Get the grade. All right. So yeah, the parents weren't particularly likable. Even the lead parent, played by Lauren Graham, you know, she started out kind of one-dimensional, but when it looked like she was kind of morphing into coach, becoming a coach, she went too far, and she became the person that she hates. And for me, I was like, oh, why are they doing this? We have to like her in order for us to not like her going too far. And we never really liked her in the first place. So when we see her go too far, it's like, who cares? You know, she was this Karen who got mad that her kid got cut, so she started a team of misfits. after yelling at the coach. Hard to support that. And then she goes too far and becomes that coach she was yelling at. I don't know. Again, Hollywood writer who has no idea what real life is like. Emilio Estevez was fine. I didn't like a lot of the decisions they made with his character. I didn't like the idea that they made him so apathetic to hockey. After being, the Three Mighty Ducks movies, he shouldn't be apathetic to hockey. It's the Luke Skywalker thing all over again, right? Like, hockey is the Force, and Emilio Estevez, Gordon Bombay, he just shut himself off from the Force. But he kept he continued to work in the field. Like, he continued to run an ice rink. so that's like Luke Skywalker saying, I'm going to shut myself off from the Force, but I'm going to keep running a Jedi Academy. It's like, I don't know. Some of the characters they made with Emilio Estevez, some of the decisions they made with Emilio Estevez's characters were odd. Character was odd. But, so I've been complaining a lot about it, because there's a lot to complain about with the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. But it also has a certain amount of nostalgia to it, which was appealing to me, and it did have a certain sweetness to it, where even though these kids are one-dimensional and they fit nicely in their molds, you can't help but almost root for them, especially in the last episode when they come out wearing the original jerseys. I know it was a ploy. I know that it was something that the screenwriters came up with to get everybody on board with the Mighty Ducks changing from one team to the other, and now the whole show makes sense, because the whole show up to this point should have been called the Don't Bothers. Now it makes sense. I know it was all a manipulative ploy by the writers, but it worked. Because now I'm rooting for the Don't Bothers to become the new Mighty Ducks. So, yeah, it was obvious, but yeah, it works. Sometimes obvious isn't automatically bad. So, at the end of the day, I do hope that they make a season 2 of this. Because there's enough here that I'm interested in seeing where it goes to next. Now, if they don't make a season 2, I'm not going to be heartbroken. This wasn't that good. Let's just be honest, it wasn't that good. But it was just good enough that if they continue it, I'm for it. And if they do continue it, I want to see character growth from the kids. I want to see character growth from Bombay. I want to see character growth from the parents. I want to see the characters in this show become more authentic. Because right now, they're just all cardboard cutouts, just playing their roles. And that's a little bit too bad, because this is a special franchise. So, I liked it. I just wanted it to be a lot more than it was. So, that's my take on the Mighty Ducks Game Changers Season 1. What did you think of the Mighty Ducks Game Changers Season 1? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your take on it. While you're down there commenting, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. I put out a lot of content, and I want to make sure that you're up to date with everything that I'm doing. And as always, thank you so much for joining me right here at the LQ Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we'd love to talk about. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.